Welcome everybody to class. My name is Ben Gromyko. I'm from Internachi. That's the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors. This is a live, free, online, open to everyone class. We cover various topics. Today is about how to perform a home inspection. We call it the How to Perform a Home Inspection class number 24 because we have done many classes in the past, actually probably 100 or so, and they're all recorded. And they're all recorded and available on Nachi TV at the bottom of your screen, nachi.tv. Today's class, we're going to perform a home inspection on this townhome end unit. I performed the home inspection many years ago, but we're going to walk through on how to perform a home inspection, how I perform a home inspection. And maybe you could learn a few things from me, hopefully, maybe not. Before we get started, let's go over a few URLs. They're important, no matter who you are, new or veteran, experienced master inspector. There's a few things that we were talking about before class started. Nachi TV is where all of these online classes are archived and available. Hundreds of hours of training available from our YouTube channel. You can watch it on any device. We were talking about software just a moment ago. I'm a new fan of Spectora, and that's their website there, spectora.com. They do websites, but also software. And I'm a fan, as you know, or may not know, I'm a fan of any software, home inspection software that can run on a mobile device. And we'll talk a little bit about the benefits of inspecting with a mobile device. Nachi.org/everything is a page that we try to put everything there. Internachi's website has hundreds of thousands of pages, literally, of information. And it can be overwhelming and very difficult and challenging to find what you need. So we put that page together and chunked it into 15 steps. If you start with step 1, it's how to join Internachi. And step 1 is important because, well, let's just go there real quick. Just real quick, and then we'll go to the home inspection. So there it is. That's the everything page. And step 1 is to join Internachi. Why do you join Internachi? Well, when you join Internachi, you're a member of the world's largest organization of home inspectors. And a whole world of opportunity opens up for you. When you're a member, you get access to just about everything Internachi offers. All the membership benefits, all the online training, all the continuing education, all the certificate programs, the members only forum, the message board, access to mentors, faculty, instructors, membership benefits, exam preparations. It goes on and on, right? So a whole world of opportunity opens up for you. And once you become a member, well, that's step 2, is to become a certified home inspector. And you choose to become what you want to become. So you can become a certified home inspector, you can become a certified mold inspector, certified radon inspector, certified septic inspector, certified roof inspector, certified, it just goes on. We have all these certificates, over 45 additional different types of certificates, certification programs with logos available too, at no additional cost. So just about everything we offer, including all of the marketing design and membership benefits and a lot of products and services, are free at no additional cost to our members. So go to that page, nachi.org/everything. And if you are a non-member and you'd like to be a member, if you're a non-member, attending this live session, not watching it on video and on YouTube days after the class, if you're attending the live class right now and you're a non-member and like to join, email me. There's my email address. Oh, did I put my email address? Forgive me. Let's get rid of that and put my email address. ben@internachi.org. ben@internachi.org. Just email me with your request to become a member, and I'll slip you something, a free membership. Shh, don't tell anybody. Let's inspect this house. I have a poll. Why not? I want to ask you a question. Can you see the question? Hope you can. Is a home inspector required to find every major defect in a house? Is a home inspector required to find every major defect in a house? Yes, no, or you're not sure? That looks really good. So a lot of you are voting. We'll close the poll in like 5 seconds. How about 5, 4, hurry up, vote. 3, 2, 1. Let's share the results. All right. 80% of you are correct. 18% of you, nope, got it wrong. And some of you are not sure. That's okay. So is a home inspector required to find every major defect in a house? No. So let's close that poll. Hope I pop back in. A home inspector is not required to find every major defect in a home. Home inspector is not required to find every defect in a home. What is a home inspector required to find during a home inspection? A home inspector is required to find during a home inspection, according to the standards of practice, every material defect that is observed. Or another way, every defect that is both observed and deemed to be material. You have to have those two conditions. And if you can't see it, well, that's beyond the scope of your inspection. If you didn't see it, that's also beyond the scope of your inspection, right? There may be a defect that's hidden or obstructed. Say behind this wall here, there's a major defect. I don't know what it is specifically, but it doesn't matter. I can't see it. Therefore, I'm not required to see it. I'm not required to find it. I'm not required to report upon it. Even if it's material defect, right? So there could be a lot of defects in a home. 50 major defects. There's a significant portion of them that will never be found, and certainly not by a home inspector who's following its standards of practice. You're not required to find every defect in a home, whether they're minor or major. Material defect is defined by the standards of practice. It's the only defect that's defined by the standards of practice. Material defect is the really serious one. It's the defect that is going to have an adverse impact on the home, the value of the home, or it's going to have an unreasonable risk to the people in the home. Like this is going to kill somebody, right? How about a deck? I'll give you an example. A deck that's not attached securely to the home, right? There's a lot of deck collapsing. Old decks are collapsing because they were never securely fastened and flashed properly to the home. So if you walk out on a deck, I've done this before, and then there's no flashing and it's barely secured, or there's structural damage or some kind of structural problem, that deck is about to collapse. I use imminent, that word, it's a legal term. It shall collapse. That is a material defect. That's going to hurt someone, right? There are many others. Maybe we have a material defect in the house that we're about to inspect. Major defect is defined by Internachi in the glossary. It's your option to use that term or not. There's major defects, which require a professional to fix. There are minor defects that require, you could hire a professional to fix it, or the homeowner could probably fix it. One would be maybe an example of a minor defect would be an upgrade of the thermostat. That's pretty easy to do. The instructions from the manufacturer are for homeowners. A professional could be hired. It's low voltage. No one's going to get hurt. A cosmetic defect is a blemish, a flaw, a discoloration in the flooring, a spot on the wall, a bump in the door. So go to nachi.org/glossary. Those defects are defined there if you'd like to use them in your inspection report. Only one is defined in the standards of practice. Let's inspect this home. And this is in a cold climate in the northern part of the United States, Northeast. Well, there's a lot to say about this picture. According to the standards of practice, a home inspector is required to inspect the roof. Now, let's say that it's this roof, right? And it is for me. How are you going to inspect it? If you don't have a ladder, well, you could try to inspect it out of window, or maybe there's some other vantage point. That's pretty good. If you don't have any other vantage point, if you don't have a ladder, maybe you have a spectroscope, an extendable pole with a wireless Wi-Fi or Bluetooth camera at the very end, and it's connected to your device, so you can inspect any roof or chimney from the safety of the ground. Inspect any roof while standing on the ground. That's a pretty good tool to have if you can't get up here. You're not required to walk upon any roof surface according to the standards of practice, but you are required to inspect it. And if you can't see it, you have to tell your client that you could not see the roof. That may be the case for you in this situation. But for me, I carry tall ladders, and I exceed the standards of practice for every one of my clients. And that's okay, as long as I treat every client the same. If I exceed the standards of practice for one client, the next client has a reasonable expectation that I will do the same for them, right? So that's part of my brand as well. These pictures are part of my brand. What's my brand? My brand is who I am. My brand is why you should hire me. Why am I different from all the rest? In my area, I was a home inspector in Pennsylvania for 12 years. One of the things that distinguished me from all the rest was that I exceeded the standards of practice in relation to the roof. You're not required to walk upon any roof surface. Even if it's a flat roof, only 10 feet above the ground, you're not required to walk upon it. I wouldn't even recommend it to anyone. I was a home builder before I was a home inspector, well-trained. I carry ladders. I know how to walk upon a roof. I've installed roofs. I've torn off roofs, replaced roofs, right? But don't walk upon any roof surface. According to the standards, you're not required to. Okay, so that's done. But let's talk about branding. This is part of my brand. This is why I was hired over other inspectors that were competitors of mine in my market area. And I made sure everybody knew that I carried tall ladders to every inspection. I had a big Econoline van with a ladder rack, and I carried tall ladders, 40-foot aluminum, 28-foot fiberglass. And I tried to get up to at least every roof, if not walk upon every roof, right? And when I do, I take a picture of it. I put it in the report. I put those pictures on my website. I put those pictures in my marketing so that my brand is communicated, right? Who I am and what I do and why am I different from all the rest and why you should hire me. That's my brand. And your business card, your logo, your marketing, your flyer, your rack card, your website, that's your marketing, right? Those are the channels through which you send that message out, right? So in my inspection report, which is the most important marketing piece a home inspection company could produce, I put my brand. That's me right there. That's why you hire me. Another reason why you hire me is
single roof appears to be in good shape. I'm not sure how old it is.
I do video because I'm not taking anybody up on the roof with me, especially if my client is not with me. I'm going to video the heck out of all the systems and components of the house and share that video with my client. I'm going to write the inspection report with all the digital pictures, but nowadays you should be able to have a piece of software that allows you to inspect while you're, allows you to write the report while you're inspecting and capture pictures as well as video. So that's the new trend, to add video. People don't read nowadays. 10, 15 years ago, digital images were really big. Now it's video. That's the next wave. If you want your brand to be pushing the envelope, that's where I recommend. Think about getting a piece of software that allows you to capture video in your inspection reports. So that was part of my brand. Actually, it was at the end of the inspection, after my 3-hour inspection, where I would play the videos of the roof or the areas where my client couldn't reach. And I played it for them, hopefully with their agents watching. And that was a really great marketing point. The extra value that I provide was demonstrated to my clients, or kind of reinforced why they hired me. And their agents were there, so maybe they would recommend me for the next inspection job. So think about video. Think about choosing software that allows you to capture images and video and embed them in your inspection report. So I take pictures of every plane, every field of the roof, every piece of flashing. I don't like this flashing because on the left side, I see the step flashing, which is great, but there's no counter flashing. Counter flashing overlaps the step flashing so it doesn't leak. I see the step flashing, but there's a lot of roof sealant and tar instead of counter flashing. Roof sealant, tar, black stuff, right, is like a Band-Aid to me. Because over a couple seasons of expanding and contracting, especially in a cold climate, it's going to break open and leak. So I have a concern, I have a mental note that there's a problem here. And when I'm able to write my inspection report, I'll grab my mobile device and I'll make a notation on it and also take a picture of it and a video of it. And that'll be in my inspection report. That's a defect, by the way. Flashing that's not installed properly could cause a lot of problems inside the home. If it leaks, there's not just moisture intrusion, but it could cause problems with the insulation and indoor air quality issues. So I'm very particular about flashing. Some vent pipes coming through, some shingles, getting up close. So you could see that the counter flashing is not installed. The step flashing top edge is just simply sealed over. I'm not really into that. It's next to a masonry component, a wall. It could have been tucked. Flashing could have been installed, but none of that was done. We have a really great article about how to inspect step flashing and kick-out flashing at that URL. It's very long. It's a long URL. Sorry about that. But it's nachi.org/ I'll give you the slides, by the way. In a couple of days, I'll have this video and slides available online. But it's inspecting-step-kick-out-kick-flash. It's a really long URL, but it's a really great article within our inspector library. Our inspector library is filled with hundreds of articles, inspection articles for home inspectors. You can go through them. And it's open. It's an open library, online, free. So maybe I'll talk about time. I did 2 inspections a day before I go any further in the inspection. One was at 8 o'clock in the morning. The next one was at 12, 8 and 12. I left my home at 7, got at the inspection early, maybe 7:45, 7:30 at the earliest. I do the roof inspection first because I don't need to bother the homeowner if they're still there. Ideally, they would leave. Maybe the listing agent will show up at 8 o'clock along with the buyer's agent and the buyer. I have 3 hours essentially to do the inspection. And if I need to, I could delay the next inspection by calling ahead. But it was typically 8 o'clock and 12 o'clock. 4 hours in between, 3-hour inspection with an hour for lunch and driving at the same time. And a roof inspection, an inspection of the roof covering, took about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, tops. If I can't walk on it, like this one, it'll take me less time. So you have to think about time as well. And then a few minutes per system using your mobile device to check off all of the inspection observations in sentence form in your report and also take pictures. Now, when I'm done with the roof inspection, I'm done writing the report of that section as well. I'm done. I'm not going to be writing an inspection report at night. As I inspect, I'm taking pictures, video, and I'm tapping what I want to say in my inspection report. And by the time I get on my ladder and down on the ground, I'm done with that system, completely done. And I'm hoping, if I timed it right, got there early, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, my client is pulling up in the driveway, right? Maybe they'll see me on the roof, which is really great, to wave to my client from the roof and say hello. Kind of ensures them that they hired the right inspector. When they pull up, shake their hand, big smile, at least 5 business cards, stick it in their hand, maybe pass out business cards to the agent or family members if they're there. I use a ton of business cards, at least a dozen per inspection. Just go through them. Internachi's marketing team will design business cards for you. And you can also order your business cards. You place an order and we'll do all the design work for free. All that design work is free. And I'm passing out business cards, and then I tell my client of the condition of the roof, because they will not go up on the roof. I won't let anybody up there. In fact, I'll put on my ladder this warning sign. You can put this in front of a crawl space door, in front of areas where you don't want anybody, like behind the electrical system. If I'm looking at an electrical panel here, I'll put that there, right? And it's narrow enough to put on a ladder. So you just hang it on one of the ladder rungs or steps. So you don't let anybody walk upon the roof on your ladder. Don't let anybody climb your ladder while you're on the roof. And then I tell my client, after I'm done with the roof, introduce myself. I tell them, you can go in and check things out on the inside, because I know that's what they want to do. Maybe take measurements, think about upgrading or updating or renovating or painting or new carpets and things like that. That's what they really want to do. And I assure them that if they go in, start doing that, I will find them and I will tell them about any problems that I come across. And if they're not available, or whether they are or not, it'll be in the report as well. At the end of the inspection, I'll email them a copy of the report, a summary and the entire copy of the report. Because remember, I'm writing my report as I go. I'm done. By 11 o'clock, this is an 8 o'clock inspection. By 11 o'clock, I'm done, completely done, right? And paid. And all the agreements are signed. This is a great thing to do. Go mobile with your inspection software. Let's say they want to walk around with me. Well, I take them for a quick tour around the exterior. I haven't seen the exterior yet, so I'm just looking for things to tell them about, maybe the handrail, steps, GFCIs, the light fixture, the grading, and I go around the driveway, maybe some windows and doors, and I go around. And I always do my same path. I go counterclockwise for every home, right? And we'll go around real quick, maybe 5 minutes, show them yada yada, some systems, some components, and then I tell them go in, and I'm going to go around next in detail. I'm going to take about 15 minutes to do the exterior, right? And I do the exterior, they're inside, I tell them I'll find you, and then we'll go down to the basement or find a heating system and you can walk around with me. I love when my clients walk around with me. I don't like to do the inspection alone and then have to go back and do the same thing that I just did, but with my client. Oh, that's a waste of time. You have to do everything at the same time. You have to be efficient, right? Time is your most precious asset. So you have to protect it. You have to have systems in place and procedures in place so that you don't spend a whole lot of time doing your work, right? Because you get paid a certain amount and you divide that, the denominator is your time, right? So you want to get paid a lot per hour of work. So you have to reduce the amount of time or make it nice and compact and efficient. Don't waste time. You could spend all day there, right? Spend 6 hours inspecting and another 3 hours writing a report. That's what some of my competitors were doing. They're spending all that precious time and only doing one job and spending 9 hours doing one inspection report, right? Be efficient, go mobile, and have everything going for you, procedures and technology working with you to make your time efficient, but do a great job, adding great, incredible value and service. So I do the exterior. Before I step into the house, I'm done with the exterior. Now I'm done with 2 systems, roof and exterior, and I'm at about 8:30 now, halfway. 8:30, about one half hour, 30 minutes into the scheduled home inspection time. I got plenty of time. I got at least 2.5 hours left. I'm really doing well, right? Except if I have a bunch of defects. If I have a bunch of defects, I have to take it down a little, slower my pace a little bit, because I have a lot of problems that I want to document well. Okay, so let's do the exterior next. Let's see if we have any questions. Brian, first time here, awesome. Mario, Whisper Solutions is another software. Yep. Horizon, yep. Horizon's good. I'm working on getting my license to be a home inspector. Would you recommend that I try to get into already established business? Currently, I really want to form my own business. Internachi is set up so that you can be your own boss. We have everything you need. There it is. See, everything you need all in one place. Certification, education, marketing, business, online services, discounts, and more. There is a lot more. Everything you can possibly think of, from free marketing design services, right? You can go to Vistaprint and do your business card. Have fun, right? I tried that. It's difficult. I'm not that type of customer. I want somebody to do it for me. I want to save my time, remember? I just don't have time. Vistaprint's a great company. They're doing really well, I'm assuming. I don't know. Their software looks really great, but I just don't have time to do all the drag and drop and template stuff, and it doesn't look good. No matter how many features a software company gives me, I just can't do it. I'm not that creative. Internachi has 7 people on the marketing team. 7. Imagine hiring 7 people just to work on your marketing. You can't do it. But Internachi's marketing team is free to all members. You can call them up. We have a marketing team. Call up the director of marketing, Jessica. She can help you with anything you need related to marketing, starting with a logo. You need a logo. First, you need to buy something. Think about your business cards. I would buy 5,000 business cards right off the bat. 5,000. Get it designed by the Internachi's marketing team. That service, that marketing design service, by creative, young, professional graphic designers and illustrators, that work is free. All you do is buy the paper, essentially, right? Have somebody do that work for you so you can sit back and allow others. Remember putting systems in place that make you more efficient with your time, because that's the most precious thing. Have Internachi's marketing team do all your marketing design services. So that's one of the things that you can get from Internachi that you may be able to get from another company, right? If you are hired by another company or you invest in a franchise, you can get that service. You're going to pay for it in one way or another. Internachi's design marketing team, design services are actually free. You just buy the product, whatever you want. You want 1,000 flyers, you buy that paper and we'll design it for you. We customize it. We have a ton of past clients, thousands of past clients, but this is another benefit to being an Internachi member. If you want to customize home maintenance book, we will customize and design the customize. We'll put your logo and your business brand right on top. I like these guys because they use cherry pickers to inspect the roof. It's pretty amazing. That would blow me. I'm glad they're not in my market. So we design all these things for our members, and all the design work is free. Right? So we have things for you to be your own boss. Clayton. Terrence, is Spectora compatible with the Trek form requirements? Every software should be, I believe every software, it has features that are Trek requirements, follow the Trek requirements. It's like a template. I know they have Internachi's residential standards of practice in a template form. I think Trek is there. I don't know. I have to look into it. I'm in Colorado, but I'll take a look. I know Trek is very stringent, restrictive on what you can do with your report form, even down to the page number and checkboxes, things like that. So I know that there are templates that are totally customizable by you. So I would give them a call and tell them if they don't have it, they should, because there are how many thousands of licensed home inspectors in Texas trying to write inspection reports. It's very difficult to be a licensed home inspector in Texas. Terrence, good question. Why is Internachi not recognized by Maryland's for CEU? Patrick, a little off topic, but Maryland, New York, Arizona, they don't like online courses. So yeah, they really, they don't like online examinations. They don't like online courses. In certain states, New York is very difficult to get anything approved by online. They just won't approve anything online. I don't know why. All other licensed professionals are allowed to take CE courses, for example, online in New York, but nope, not home inspectors. So we're still working with those states. KC, it looks steep. It certainly is. Just going through the questions. I don't want to skip over. Do you recommend any ladder leveling tools such as Levelizer? No. Nope. If you're not, I just don't like that. I don't like the collapsible ladders either. Just the word collapsible and ladder shouldn't be together. And anything that kind of like supports your ladder because the ground is at an angle. What I did was I had a little shovel in the truck. I grabbed my shovel and I just dug a hole, put a rock down, tamped it, and then put my fixed leg ladder down. And that's how I did. I never liked those things. Would you recommend the homeowner having it fixed? Recommend the homeowner have it fixed. Wonder what we're referring to. William. Sorry, Ben. I notice here in Florida, a lot of clay tile with dirt or algae. Is that cosmetic? Dirt, algae, clay tile. I believe so. Clay tile is one of the best products you can have on a roof, especially concrete. I have concrete tile on my roof in Colorado. It'll last forever. Not actually forever, but a heck of a lot longer than most other materials. And I could wash it off, but I don't. Right? It's not like asphalt shingles that is porous essentially and can have things grow into it and embed it, including moisture. So, yep, it's really your call. I would talk to the roofer if you have a roofer or local expert home inspector. Steve, do you attach your ladder with a bungee cord? I certainly do. You got to attach the top of your ladder so it doesn't blow off in the wind. My business partner was stuck on a roof for a while because that didn't happen. Internachi inspection narratives downloadable for Spectora? I don't know, but we have a huge library of inspection narratives. If you don't know what to say in a report, we have a huge library of things to say, sentences. We call them narratives to stick in your inspection report. There are many templates. I'm not sure about Spectora. You can call them up. Thanks, James. James was a graduate of the Internachi School. Does the marketing team help with writing copy? Yes. We have standard things to say, but we also give you a questionnaire so that you can tell us what to say. And then we have an editor-in-chief. Her name is Kate. You don't pay for Kate's service if you're a member of Internachi. She will proofread everything, make sure everything reads well, grammatically correct, and punctuated correctly. And if there's a mistake, it's on we'll bite the bullet on that one. So you get not only marketing directors, but someone to proof. These are all really good questions, but I want to keep going, okay, for those. Do you feel, Eric asked about drones. Drones are for fun. It's just, if it's a tight situation like this one in an urban area, I don't like flying a drone. That could be interpreted as a spying tool on other people and through their windows. If you're in an area like me where there's a gust of wind of 15 miles an hour, unexpected, that drone is going to go right into a building or a tree. And if you're flying it within 5 miles within an airport, you're in violation. If you're not FAA certified, drones are for fun. If you have a drone and you tell people, hey, I have a drone, I can inspect a roof, I'm going to beat you in the market by getting closer than that drone can ever do. I don't care if it's a 4K camera and you zoom in. By the time you download the drone images and stuff, you're spending 2 hours just to get a decent roof picture. So I'm gonna figure out a way to beat you in the market by having a spectroscope, a tall ladder, binoculars, a vantage point, something. I'm gonna beat you in the market if you have a drone. Drones are for fun, in my opinion. So careful. All right, there's a lot more questions, but I think I'm gonna keep going. Florida shutters required. Yep. A hurricane shutter is part of the required items to check in Florida, certainly. There's a few other things too. Florida is a different place. Roofs blow off in Florida, so there's a lot of different kinds of inspections you need to do. Okay, let's keep going. So remember, it's about 8:30, half hour into the inspection. I'm done with 2 systems. I've inspected them. I've written the reports, taken pictures, video. I've introduced myself to my client. Everyone's happy. They're inside. I'm way ahead of schedule. Oh, no, we're just starting the exterior. I apologize. We're just starting the exterior. So let's take a look at the exterior because there's a lot going on. So this is an old house built in 1870 or something like that, or early 1900s. And it's masonry, right? The CMUs, the concrete masonry units, are falling apart. The mortar joints are just popping off. So I think the original mortar joint was there, and then somebody grooved another one on, but that one popped off. So we have things like this. This is a great moisture entry area. And depending on what's going on the inside, this could be a huge problem. I know in Illinois, there's a big cut block problem where concrete blocks with exposed, unprepared, untreated surfaces are just absorbing and wicking moisture. So masonry wicks moisture. Stone, concrete, it wicks, has this incredible wicking feature, power, and it can blow masonry off as water is absorbed by the masonry. As I'm inspecting around the house on my ladder, there's a small bay window roof area. The metal roof is in good shape, painted, some sealant, but the flashing is my concern. So the flashing is not installed properly. And the flashing or capping installed at all the windows and doors is loose. It looks good, but it doesn't function as you think it will. So it's not flashed properly. This is a great picture. It's part of my brand to put pictures like this. A picture's worth 1,000 words. So the flashing is loose, and it's not actually grooved into the exterior covering, the exterior siding, the masonry. There was some sealant there. That's a steel lintel, and there's wooden components of the window, and it's all just prone to moisture intrusion. So the capping really is just for looks. It's not really functional. It's not stopping any kind of water intrusion. So I'm putting that in the report. All of this is loose. And we have moisture intrusion into the masonry exterior, and it's popping off mortar joints left and right. And sections of the stucco. So the front was masonry, concrete units. The side, we'll see the side and the back in just a moment. And there's pieces of stucco. cement that was parged on, and that is falling apart as well. And anywhere where two different materials intersect, that's where I'm at. And I'm up close at those areas. From far away, I take a picture. I go midway and I take a couple pictures, and then I get up close and I use my hand and I touch my hand. If I force my hand to touch the thing that I'm inspecting and I take a picture of it, I really get close and personal with the things that I'm inspecting. And I really don't like where the masonry is in contact with the capping and there's just goops of silicone. So that is a water path there, moisture intrusion. None of the capping is installed well. So much time was spent on the capping. It's just, it looks good, but it's not protecting any of the wooden components behind it and stopping any moisture. Front porch roof, roll roofing material, looks in good shape. Little pond area, I'm not too concerned. It just rained. And there's the drainage. So they just painted it for me. That's nice, just before the home inspection. So it looks good. Old material, so it's a bit of a concern. I get up on the roof and I zoom in using my camera and I take a look at the 3-tab asphalt shingles. There's a chimney, so I'll keep that in mind. Is it for a heating system or a fireplace? It looks square, so it's probably a heating system. I'm unable to inspect the interior. Sometimes I'll pop the screen off, the cap off, the hood off, and take a look, even take a picture of the flue. You're not required, according to the standards of practice, to do that. You're not required to inspect any chimney liner or flue interior. But if it's available to me, I'll take a look. I'm a little concerned about all of this that's going on. The parapet walls, the chimney flashing, the roof that's coming down. It's all sealed up, not reliable. Can't wait to get into the attic space or below that area. I want to make sure that there isn't anything going on. It looks good, looks all sealed up, but boy, I can just imagine a foot of snow, right? And maybe there's some ice damming going on, some water problems, a little ponding, can't drain out. I mean, it just looks like a pool. You could fill that area with water, seems like. So I try to imagine, it was raining just recently in this inspection, but I try to imagine what rainwater would do. Roof is supposed to drain that away, catch it with some kind of maybe a gutter and downspout system and discharge that water far away from the house. During a rainstorm in Pennsylvania, hundreds of gallons of water could be discharged at one downspout. So I want to make sure that that's in good shape. So I'm down on the exterior ground and I'm walking around the exterior. I'm off my ladder. Now I'm looking at how water is controlled, discharged far away from the foundation. And I'm looking at intersecting exterior covering materials, right? So this masonry on the rest of the house from the front is in contact with the original masonry, concrete masonry units in the front there. And there's a lot of patching going on. I don't know what that is. Why would it be just recently patched? All the way up. And it's been patched before. There's 2 different colors of mortar, cement. And there's more capping. And it's not properly installed. It's gooped with silicone. So it's unreliable in discharging, kicking out, diverting water away from those critical areas. And I see that the the downspout fastener has punctured through the masonry exterior, let's call it stucco, cement coating, maybe a hard coat stucco, and it's cracked. And that's just a water entry point right there. So I know that we probably have some wooden components of the home, maybe some lath, steel lath, and a parging, a stucco coating, 1, 2, 3 years, a hard coat stucco of cement on the outside. And I start to see waves in the exterior coating. It starts to go like that, like wave around. And that's a concern. Try to take close-up pictures of the exterior where it's bulging out and cracking open. So that's my concern. I think the foundation was parged well, but the exterior walls on the right side and back side of this end unit townhouse, it's not good. Another component, all exterior faucets in cold climates, all exterior water faucets, spigots, hose bibs should be frost proof so that when you turn off the valve, it actually drains away. There's phone and cable. There's an electric meter, 100 amp cable, service line going into the main panel with the disconnect in the basement. The exterior sheathing is cloth and it's deteriorated. That's no good. It doesn't protect the wires, and another water entry point. And the line from the meter from the service overhead, the drop point, and the drip loops, that's in poor shape as well. So this is a major problem. That line needs to be replaced. You can see the detail there. These are easy observations. This is an observation of a component of the electrical system while I'm inspecting the exterior. So the benefit of writing your report as you inspect is that you could just jump from one system to another and make comments. So on the exterior, I'm inspecting the exterior, I'm taking pictures and video, and I'm writing my narratives or selecting my sentences or things that I want to say, maybe typing a little bit. Actually, I don't type. Nowadays, software, you just talk into their microphone and it converts your voice into text, right? And then I come up upon this defect and I have to put it in my report, but I'm not going to put it in the exterior. I'm going to put it in the electrical system. And it's so easy. Now I'm starting, while I'm inspecting, I'm done with the roof. While I'm inspecting the exterior, I'm also inspecting and writing the reports of other systems, because as a home inspector, we train our home inspectors to think of a house as a system of interdependent parts, where one part affects many others in the home. So when you're inspecting the exterior, you're actually inspecting probably other systems and components of other systems that are connected to each other, right? So I'm doing the exterior, but I'm also inspecting other systems like this electrical component of the electrical system. Downspout is not diverting water away from the house. There's a new deck, I go underneath it. I want it attached, fastened, and supported really well. The gas meter is at an angle, and the bottom of it is buried underground. There's a shutoff valve. That's good. It's on, so I know I have natural gas supplied to the house, and it's secured to the house. Front steps. They are uneven. The top step is shorter than the other three. So my grandmother would trip coming down, especially because the first step is short and then the second step is longer. It's a longer step, right? And the handrail is not graspable. You can't grasp it with your hands, right? There isn't a diameter that allows you to loop your fingers around. You can't grasp this. And if it's more than 2 steps, code says something else. But for me, I'm allowed to interpret, because I'm a home inspector. I'm not an expert, and I'm not a code inspector. It's really based upon my opinion. Anything that's over 2 steps, I want a handrail that's graspable. I can't imagine somebody with a disability or a challenge, physical challenge, getting up that. Can't see my grandmother doing that. And I inspect the walks, I inspect the deck, front porch, stoop. There are inspection restrictions. I'm not required to remove the carpeting to inspect the structure, but I'll take a look underneath. All exterior receptacles have to be GFCI protected. The guardrail of a deck should be able to take my weight, 200 pounds, in any direction. The space between the spindles can't be more than 4 inches apart. These are all things that I would say in my inspection report. And if somebody asks me for a reference, why do I have that opinion about the space between the spindles? It's based upon code, International Residential Code. And all of Internachi's training is based upon, essentially, starts with code. And the most recent update in code, 2018, IRC just came out. We bought the whole library, and we're going to start including it in our inspection training. Especially, for example, they've updated locations of GFCIs and AFCIs. And we have an inspection article about that, and we've updated our electrical course. There's a problem here. Remember that capping allowing water intrusion to come in? Well, that capping has bulged. It has warped. At the front porch, left side, the column coming up, there's load-bearing components of the roof that I was standing on earlier. And those load-bearing components are made out of wood and they're capped, but they're not capped properly. And now I have an area where I think there's water intrusion and there's wood rot in there. Why? Because this thing is warped. Capping usually doesn't warp unless it is being bent in a weird way. And it's like aluminum siding. If you nail it, fasten it too much, it'll warp. Just like vinyl siding too. If you fasten it too tightly, that siding starts to warp a little bit like that. So I'm imagining there's wood rot there, load-bearing component, it's starting to bend, and the capping is an indication of that. So I want further investigation. So I want a contractor to come in, pull that capping off, and further investigate. So here's the major problem. It's a material defect. The stucco, I think, is in poor condition. It's wavy. It's cracking all over the place. Can't imagine what's going on behind the stucco. Looks like part of it is actually falling away from the house. So that's a good picture away, and then I move in and get closer. Driveway, parking, there's the stucco. You can see it. It's overhanging the capping of that second floor window, actually. And there's cracking all over. No central air conditioning. We have a through wall unit. There's the capping area. Stucco is just heaving out. Downspouts are not diverting water away from the house. These are load-bearing components holding up a lot of weight, and they're embedded within the driveway material. That's not good. There is a garage door, so I'll get in there. And anywhere there's tube materials coming in contact with each other, I want it to be nice and tight, and it isn't here. They're just gooping it up with cement. And that downspout is actually, the gutter is clogged and the downspout's leaking. Now I'm in the garage. So that was the exterior. I'm done with the roof and the exterior. I'm inspecting it. I'm done writing about it. I've introduced myself to my client. They're inside. Now I'm in the garage. And there isn't a doorway into the house. So I'm in the garage by myself. And to perform a garage inspection, we have training on that. It's a special kind of system. The main thing is if a fire starts in the garage, we want about a half an hour before that fire moves into the house for the fire company to come. So it's called a firewall. We want materials all around and all the holes sealed so that if something happens, a fire starts, a lot of people working on engines will ignite an engine, the car catches on flame, they can't get it out, and well, that's a bad situation. Or there's fuel and that ignites. So we want to protect that garage. We want to control that fire in that garage for as long as we can until the fire company comes. So we don't want openings. And so that's in my head. I don't want to see openings. I want to see a nice firewall. I also want to document inspection restrictions. So if somebody happens to disagree with me and wants to see me in court or something and we can't resolve out of court, I want to make sure that I'm documenting the inspection restrictions. Remember, I'm not required, a home inspector is not required to find all the defects in a house. But if I do see a material defect, right, it's a defect that is so big, it's a material defect as defined by the standards of practice, and I observe it, I'm required to put it in the report. Broken window, holes in the plaster, no good. Garage door opener functions, electric eyes, photo eyes. There's sewer lines too. So I'm in the garage, I'm in the system, but there are exposed drainage waste vent pipes, and they're made out of cast iron. There's the clean out. But this is leaking. This fitting is actually leaking sewage and gray water onto stored items, personal stored items in the garage. There's a leak here at the water supply line at a T-fitting. I'm not sure why. Maybe it wasn't soldered well. So that's leaking as well, and it's dripping. So I'm done with the exterior, roof, exterior, and now garage. I've inspected some components of other systems, and it's probably 8:45, 9 o'clock. 1 hour down. I have 2 hours to go. The most important system to me is heating, cooling, and then structural, maybe hot water, electrical, maybe the structural components of the basement. And then I move up to the attic. And then when I'm done with the attic, the rest of it is pretty easy. Interior, bathrooms, windows, doors, kitchen, and I'm done, right? So I've got about 2 more hours to go, and you have to think about this. You don't want to spend all day there. Nobody wants to spend all day at a home inspection. And you want to be efficient with your time, right? So, and you want to get to all the good stuff, right? You want to do a good inspection. So the next thing I want to do that's probably most important to the people with me, my clients, and their family members. Maybe we have a father who's, watching over his child as they buy their first home. That's a really great experience. You want to get to the most important stuff and make sure dad knows that you are a decent, good inspector and you're inspecting the most important things, right? That's why I never do the bathrooms or the kitchen first. Who cares about that? Get to the really important systems, most expensive stuff. So this, if you're in a southern climate, you may not know what this is. This is a boiler. It's basically a box made out of cast iron, usually. It's filled with water. There's a burner unit. This is natural gas. Could be oil. Could be something else. Propane. And it heats up the water, and then there's a pump that circulates that really hot water through pipes, through radiators throughout the house, and it circulates. So it goes out hot, and it comes back after radiating its heat, comes back somewhat warm, lukewarm, and it gets heated up again. It's a big cycle, and it burns fuel. This is essentially a newer unit, so I'm not expecting a whole lot to go wrong. Those are the burners. So upstairs, before I go down in the system, down in the basement and check out the heating system, I find the thermostat, document that in my inspection report, turn it on, run downstairs, see if I can see it cycle through. Sometimes I can catch it from the very beginning, sometimes not. I'll turn off the switch, the service switch, and I'll turn it back on and watch it go through its cycle. Do I have to turn on the heating system to heat up a house in the summertime? No. I just want to make sure that all the components are moving around and the cycle is about normal. Just using normal operating controls to make sure I don't see any material defects. So that's what I'm looking for, a material defect, something major, significant. It's going to hurt somebody. Same thing with an air conditioner. You don't have to turn on the air conditioner and cool off a whole house in the wintertime, So I just want to see it move through its cycle, right? So I may turn on the cycle. I want to hear ignition. I want to see flames, heat up the water, maybe watch the circulator pump turn on, and that's about it. And then when I'm inspecting the interior rooms, I want to make sure every room has a heat source or supply register, things like that. So there's the circulator pump. There's the gauge that shows you the pressure and temperature. I always take a picture of the service record. If it hasn't been serviced within a year of my inspection, it's an automatic defect. Recommend service by a professional. Boilers, they heat up water. Anything that heats up water, water expands when it heats up. That expansion needs to be attended to with an expansion tank or something else, and a pressure relief valve. If the pressure exceeds a certain limit, it needs to release instead of explode. So this is a temperature pressure relief valve. It should be extended to the floor. Just in case it discharges, we don't want somebody getting hit with 180-degree scalding water. That's instant burn. So it's an easy thing to do, to extend that TPR valve to the floor. So you don't have to look at the interior flue, but if I can, I will. Often on an old home like this, the interior flue liner is missing in the chimney stack, which is the case here, and there's debris. So that's chunks of the interior flue liner, unlined chimney stack, and I can see it through the pipe connection from the heating system to where that connector pipe from the heating system, flue, goes into the chimney stack vertically, right, where it makes a bend. And it's starting to fill up with debris. It's about half blocked. If it blocks, right, that's a serious, people are going to die because carbon monoxide is going to not go through the chimney. It's going to come back and drift back into the interior. And that's not a good thing. You could see that excessive heat is starting to discolor the top of the flue. And the left side of the pipe is starting to rust. That could be overheating, moisture, a bunch of things. So I'm glad I stuck my flashlight in there, my camera in there. I'm not required to, but I tend to exceed the standards of practice. Not required, but if you do, you should do it for everyone. We actually have an opinion written up by Internachi's legal counsel about home inspectors exceeding the standards of practice, right? And there's some advice. It's in our library, inspector library. If you can't find it, you can email me. There's an expansion tank. Remember, if you heat up hot water, you need to absorb that expansion. Here's the hot water source. So the boiler was heating the house through a system of radiators up above my head. I haven't been upstairs yet. This is the heating source, water tank for the fixtures. It's gas-fired, and it's old. How do I know it's gas-fired? Well, there's a gas line going into a pilot mechanism at the bottom of the tank. It's not electric. And it's old because it's natural draft. There's a hood on top of the tank that allows combustion products coming from the burner and through the hot water tank to go into the chimney stack. And it's diluted with the natural draft of air from the interior. So it's using air from the room in which it rests. That's an interesting thing. You know, you're losing air essentially. So if it's sucking air up through the chimney, what's supplying fresh air, right? So there's this whole training session you can have in our HVAC course about learning about combustion air and dilution air and tight confined spaces, and having an appliance like this in a bedroom is not a really good idea. It's a hazardous situation. Having a hot water tank, gas-fired hot water tank in a garage, right? There are certain things that you can't have in that. So you should learn a little bit about hot water sources. Anything that burns fuel, you should know enough about combustion to find problems. If you don't, right? This is so awesome. If you don't know a lot, right? You're going through Internachi's courses, you're being technically proficient, you want to learn enough to do a really good home inspection, you're gaining knowledge and you're applying that knowledge in your practice to build up your skills and abilities. But let's say you can't quite remember certain things about standards or best practices. Well, that's the benefit, another benefit of going mobile. In your report, you can have little notes that are only seen by you. And if it's like a inspection procedure, like what are the things you should check for a gas-fired hot water tank? We have that checklist. You just go through the step-by-step procedure, inspect everything. Like we have one for the garage door. Remember the garage door? It's 10 steps. I think it's 10. It could be 11. 10 steps for inspecting a garage, and you just follow it. You don't even have to think. You're not going to make a mistake. It reduces your liability because you're following a checklist that's in your hand while you perform an inspection, right? Instead of not having this, try and remember how to do everything, and then later on that evening, write the inspection report based upon what you can remember. Ugh. I hope my competitors don't go mobile. If my competitors are not going mobile, I'm going to beat them in the marketplace because they're going to make mistakes, right? I'm going to do a better inspection. I'm going to reduce my liability. I'm going to increase my efficiency, and I'm going to get my inspection report, which is the most important thing my client wants from me. And it's the biggest marketing piece that I can produce in my company. I'm going to produce it real quick within minutes after I'm done with this inspection. Oh, so I'm down in the basement. I've done roof, exterior, garage, some other components, and now I'm doing heating. I'm done with that. Oh, by the way, heating system, 10 minutes, 15, tops, right? It doesn't take me hours to inspect it. I'm a home inspector. I'm not a code inspector. I'm not looking for code. I'm looking for certain components that are in my checklist. Check them off. I'm done. Found a defect, blocked flue in the chimney, unlined chimney. This is fantastic. I'm at the water source. This is going to take me 5 minutes. Hot water sources, electric, gas-fired, 5 minutes, tops, right? Here's one picture. No component. Oh, I'm looking for a gas shutoff valve. Every hot water source, gas-fired hot water source, hot water tank should have a shutoff valve, and there's no shutoff valve. Incredible. Defect. Cold water coming in, shutoff valve. TPR valve extended to the floor, good. Natural draft, good. The cold water coming in, that connection's good. Hot water coming out, that's good. There's the pilot. I'm not going to touch it. Don't turn it up and listen to the flame and turn it down. You don't have to. You're a home inspector following the standards of practice. Just take a look at it. I'm really looking for rust, water, and any indication that there has been flame rollout in the past. Because right there are the flames. Where that, see that tube that goes in? That's gas. See that other wire going in? That's a sensor, right? So there's gas, and there, the other control is the control, right, for the flames. So there's flames right there, and it's open right there. Now hot water tanks have FVIR. If you don't know what FVIR is, maybe you should take Internachi's courses. Where that combustion gas is, where does it go into the chimney stack? I want to take a look. It's cracked right there. There's no thimble. Ideally, there'd be a thimble, but I don't like how that's penetrating the chimney stack. I'm done. 5 minutes. Mobile, done report, pictures, video. Boop. Now I'm at another system. Anything that I can see. Laundry. Okay, the dryer, it's clothes dryer, should have an outlet, 4-prong outlet at the wall, and it's not. It's hardwired. You can't unplug this thing without the help of an electrician, right? And the dryer exhausts into the basement. You know how many gallons of water in vapor form is going into the house because of this? And all the lint is an indoor air quality issue. All dryers must exhaust outside. All bathrooms must exhaust outside. Bathroom exhaust fans. All kitchen exhaust fans must exhaust outside. These exhaust fans are called exhaust fans for one reason, because they exhaust outside. You know, it's not inside. Shutoff valve, hot and cold water. GFCI protection, laundry, new recently, not very recent, but all receptacles in laundry should be GFCI protected. Run hot and cold water. Cold, hot, let the hot water run. I get underneath the sink. I don't care if it's a laundry sink like this or a bathroom sink. S-trap. Should be a P-trap. This is an S-trap. That's how they used to make them. Not a it's really big deal. Could be easily swapped out, but I'll put it in a report. And there's a water leak there where the standpipe stem attaches to the underside of the sink. Done with that. That was the laundry. Found a defect. Done. I'm flying now. Now I'm thinking cold water coming in. Here's the main water coming into the house through the foundation wall, underground shutoff valve. Old shutoff valve. You're not required to turn any valves. Do not turn main water shutoff valve, especially this old stem one. Ball valves are great, because if it starts to leak, you're messed up. Water meter, water line going afterwards. No jumper cable. Oh, there is a jumper. Sorry, there's the jumper wire. That's good. Done with that. I identified where the main water shutoff valve. I tell my client, here's the water meter, shutoff valve on either side, and a jumper cable. That's where you turn off the water. Electrical. You're not required to remove the dead front cover off of any electrical panel, but I do. Just like you're not required to walk upon any roof surface, I tend to do that. Here's the electrical panel. We already have a major defect in the electrical system from the outside. Do you remember? The outer sheathing of the lines before and after the meter, especially this line here, is deteriorated to the point where it needs to be replaced. Questions? Let me just take a look at questions. Kendall asks, can I perform Internachi ancillary and certifications in New York? Sure, but local rules overrules all other things, right? So if you are in a township or a state that regulates a type of inspection, say termite inspection, you have to abide by your state and local rules. Doesn't matter what Internachi offers. And we offer a ton of over 45 different certifications, but you have to abide by your state and local rules. Local overrules everything else, right? Your local authority having jurisdiction, your township code inspector, can interpret the code and say that problem that you identified as a defect, it's okay by me, done, can overrule you. Doesn't matter what Internachi trains you on, you have to abide by your local, province, state rules. So in New York, they license home inspectors, and they license septic inspectors, and they license pest, WDO, WDI inspectors. Not sure about energy. You can take a look at that. But regardless of what, I would say, regardless of the rules and regulations, you can never make a mistake in getting trained and certified by Internachi in other areas. For example, we have really great home energy inspection training and certificate programs. You can use the logo or not. Maybe your state or local area or province regulates energy audits, like in Texas. There's some energy audit stuff going on. Take the home energy courses anyways. Learn about home energy defects so you can see them. You're inspecting them anyways as a home inspector, right? You are required as a home inspector to inspect the approximate thickness of the insulation that's observed from the attic space, unfinished spaces, right? I bring one of my measuring tapes, right? Measure the approximate thickness, put it in a report. That's measuring, if you have an insulation problem, that's part of the energy training, right? Your recommendation may say, if you find very little insulation where it's actually required, you may say, add more insulation. That's actually not a good recommendation, because fiberglass insulation, for example, is just a big, thick filter. It doesn't stop air movement. So homes, older homes, if they haven't been air sealed, there's still bleeding conditioned air through those unsealed areas underneath the attic insulation, underneath the insulation that you may see from the attic space above this top floor, finished floor, right? Ever pull up a fiberglass bat insulation and see black lines? That's not mold, that's dust and dirt. Air is escaping through the openings, and it's essentially bleeding conditioned air. If it's bleeding conditioned air, it's bleeding energy and wasting money. Recommending more insulation, fiberglass insulation, isn't going to do anything. It's only going to filter it better. It's called filter glass. Fiberglass is really filter glass. It just filters the air that's coming out by the stack effect, Venturi effect, of a home or building. What you should recommend is air sealing and additional insulation. How do you know all this stuff? By taking those ancillary services training and certification courses and exams, right? Think of other things. I would say every home inspector should know a lot about home energy as well. As soon as you become technically good and proficient at doing home inspections, learn about home energy, because those two overlap so much, right? Like, you should be able to identify the efficiency of any heating system from 10 feet away. If it's a gas-fired heating system, I can tell you the energy efficiency within a couple seconds, just by the characteristics of that system. And that's good information to have. Is it required by the standards? No. But why do you go beyond the standards of practice in your knowledge? So that I can provide more value to my client, right? I provide more value to my client when I know more, and I'll be able to inspect more and share more of my knowledge to my client. And because I add more value, my price goes up, right? And we talk a lot about how to price your services. It has nothing to do with feeling. It has nothing to do with your market, really, or what even your competitors are charging. It has everything to do with math. It's a formula, and we have that in our business course. But getting back to the value, if the perceived value is much greater than the cost, then it's a good decision for your client to hire you. So I want to dump an abundant amount of value onto every one of my clients so that the perceived value is much greater than the cost. They want information, right? But I'm going to dump a ton of value on top of them so that the cost of obtaining that information is very little when in comparison to the perceived value that I provide. So I'm going to provide a customized home maintenance book. This is $2.70, right? I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to increase my fee by $5 and allow my clients to purchase their own home maintenance book that's customized and a cup of coffee. Infrared is my infrared camera, right? My E40BX camera. I'm not going to charge for using my infrared. No, I'm just going to increase my fee and allow my clients to pay for the value of having a home inspector who uses infrared. And infrared is no big deal because think of infrared as a flashlight. A flashlight, here's a high lumens flashlight from Inspector Outlet. A flashlight allows me to see things that I wouldn't normally be able to see without it. If I don't have a flashlight, I can't see what's underneath in the darkness there. With a flashlight, I can see it. Infrared is the same thing. It allows me to see things that I wouldn't normally be able to see without it. Okay, I don't know, but it allows me to see something that I wouldn't normally be. That's all this is. Using a flashlight is essentially, you could argue, is exceeding the standards of practice. The word flashlight does not appear in the standards of practice, nor does infrared, right? So if you're using a flashlight, somebody could argue that you're exceeding the standards of practice. It's supposed to be visual only, not aided visual. So this is a value. I bought my first infrared camera for $5,000, put it on a credit card, didn't tell my wife, increased the fees. We increased our fees, and it paid back in no time because we became the home inspectors who included free infrared scans during a home inspection. And man, it is the shock and awe that I love. It's the perceived value and the actual value of using infrared during a home inspection. It allows me to do a better home inspection, but it shows my client, ever have an infrared camera and you put your hand up against the wall and you give your client your infrared, your $1,000, $500 infrared camera, and then they look at the wall and they see your handprint because it only sees surface temperatures. Can't see through walls, which is perfect. I don't want to see through a wall. There's too much to see. I just want to see what's on the surface. If there's a temperature difference, maybe it's excessive heat, maybe it's water intrusion. So I'm going to scan around with my thing and see if I can see anything that I wouldn't normally be able to see without it. That's all it is. Really great value add. And then with every infrared camera, you need a moisture meter. This is the companion to every infrared inspection, a moisture meter to confirm what you're seeing with your eyes. I went off topic. Back to the electrical. Let's see, where are we? Main shutoff, 100 amps. One finger is 100 amps. One in a bent is 150 amps. Two fingers is 200 amps. I take a picture of the breakers as I found them. If there's a breaker in the off position, a tripped off or a manually shut off, I do not reset it, especially if it's tripped. I document the condition of the breakers before I found them. They're not specifically identified either. Each breaker should be identified. I remove the dead front cover. You're not required to. It's an electrical hazard. Not really about high voltage, but you could really hurt yourself fatally. Don't remove the dead front cover. You're not required to. Some inspectors do. This is what it looks like if you do. Ideally, I want every neutral and every ground wire under its own fastening. And we have an ampacity problem, an overfusing. We have a big 20 amp breaker on a small 14 gauge wire. We have new wires and old wires. There's a screw missing at the dead front. There's the basement. Structure looks okay. Poured concrete. Wooden components of the floor system. And what I do is I use a gardening tool to inspect the wooden components of the unfinished basement, and also the attic and other areas. So this is a gardening tool. It's a 3-tine hoe with 3 tines. You heat up this tine and you make it straighter than the other ones. Let's see. See them? So that one is straight and the other 2 are curled. And this allows me to, it's extendable. This allows me to reach things, structural components, and poke them. It also allows me to move ceiling tiles. I'm not required to, but I do anyways. And allows me to move insulation as well. So I can move insulation, grab it, move it out of the way, and then put it right back, and no one knows, right? And I can probe too. Wow. And listen as I probe. So it's a 3-tine hoe. It's a gardening tool, and I really like it. And I attach it to the outside of my tool bag, and I carry it with me to every inspection, along with all my other tools. So it's attached to the outside. And I drop it right in front at the front door. And when I go down the basement, I take the whole bag and bring it with me. And if it's unfinished basement with wooden joists, I probe. Yep. And oh, this is a nice bag. Nice pockets. It's actually branded with Internachi. You can buy this at Inspector Outlet. If you're looking for tools, inspectoroutlet.com. Looking for moisture penetration, water penetration, we have some. Efflorescence, that's salt deposits left behind when water moves through a masonry component. So I'm taking pictures. I take probably 50 pictures of the roof, 50 of the exterior, and then probably a dozen at least on every system. I take a picture of a system and then I move in, take another picture halfway, and I move in just close enough to touch, and I touch every component. In my checklist, my mental checklist, if you can't remember your mental checklist, you write it down on your mobile device, and every check is a component or a condition. You're looking for this, looking for that, looking for this, looking for that. Click, 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 click. I'm clicking like that. Click, click. Low resolution pictures is good enough for me. I used to carry 2 cameras. One camera was just for pictures, one were for video, but I switched over to a mobile device. Now I take pictures with my mobile device. It's pretty fast, pretty fast. Structural components look good. Water coming in. It's been patched up, maybe it leaked. The basement window is leaking water. Water penetration through the basement window. Not good. There's my 3-tine hoe. Moving insulation, putting it back. And then I see this. Oh, that is knob and tube wiring. The tube is where the wire goes through a wooden component, usually. And the knob is where the wire is attached on the outside and hanging, fastened. So there's a tube. So we have newer wire, NMB, with old wire and knob and tube. Antiquated, ungrounded electrical wiring system, distribution system, and I just tag it as a defect. A lot of insurance companies won't even insure a home that has knob and tube wiring, active knob and tube wiring. If it's covered by insulation, it's a fire hazard. If it's connected to newer wires, well, you think that the newer wire, which has a hot, neutral, and a ground, white, black ground, is all properly wired. It isn't, right? There's no ground. There's no grounding throughout this entire house. It's all knob and tube. And if you see newer wiring, that doesn't mean anything. So that's a defect at the electrical system. Missing handrail at the basement stairs. I go up into the attic. So I did the roof, exterior, garage, heating, there's no cooling, hot water source, electrical, water coming in, water going out, structure, attic. Once I'm done with the attic, I'm basically done with the house. I'm feeling good. I'm probably 2 hours into it. I've got 1 hour left. Knob and tube wiring, covered with insulation, fire hazard, material defect. That's the knob. Those are 3 knobs there. And the tubes go through the wire. Kind of an old, antiquated, kind of fun thing to look at. Amazing where systems have come from. There's a wire going right into the insulation that's buried, knob and tube wiring. There's a knob under insulation. So that's a fire hazard. Structure looks okay. Insulation, great. There's insulation there. There wasn't any when the house was built. So old. Something went through the roof, no longer. There's the main cast iron vent stack for the sewer. Looking at the structure, looking for any indications of a structural problem or a roof leak. And boom, there is one. I don't need a moisture meter for this. The roof is leaking from that step flashing area that we talked about earlier in the class when I was up on the roof, looking at the step flashing without any counter flashing by that chimney stack. So that chimney stack where I said ice could build up and melt and cause problems, this is where it's coming from. So we have a roof leak. Boy, I feel really good. I've found so many defects in this house. I feel like I've provided an incredible amount of value. Can't wait to get out of the attic. I'm going to go through the second floor, windows, doors, flush some toilets. The first floor, same thing, and end up in the kitchen where we can talk about the report, get paid, and go. I'm really excited about this inspection. I thought it was going to be a very difficult old house, but actually, as you become a veteran inspector, after your first couple hundred inspections, you get excited when you find an old house with a lot of problems, right? Because usually there's just a bunch of cookie cutter houses and they're about the same. So this was very challenging, but nothing exceeding my knowledge base. So it's pretty easy to observe defects. One of the benefits, again, I go back to this, one of the benefits of using a mobile device is that when you have an inspection procedure, remember on the exterior, I always go counterclockwise. When you do things in a pattern and you follow a checklist, defects tend to just jump out at you and say, here I am, right? So when you are when you set up a system for yourself to be efficient in what you do, things that are trip hazards that are in your way, like a defect, a material defect, they just happen to pop out. It really reduces your liability when you go with a mobile checklist. because you're in your mode, you're going through, and then let's say you're doing the garage inspection and step number 5, whoop, that component is completely missing. Remember the missing gas shutoff valve at the hot water tank? That was one of the things that I'm supposed to always check during a hot water source inspection. Boom. I didn't have to think about looking for it. It was just right there. Is the gas valve there? Yep. No, it's missing. Defect. Look for roof leaks. Okay, I'm at the step where I look for roof leaks. I did the structural stuff. I'm looking, yep, roof leak in the report. Done. Can't wait to get out of the attic. And I am. I'm going to do bathrooms, flush toilet, run sink, do the shower, look for water problems. Representative number of windows, doors, electric receptacles, heat sources. I punch the tiles. I push on the tiles. If my hand goes through a tile, that's a good thing. If you ever break something, if something ever breaks while you're inspecting it, like chrome-plated soft brass P-traps underneath the sink. You've ever crushed those? Those are a lot of fun to crush. They always crush. I take a picture of it. Whenever something breaks in my hand, or let's say a garage door falls apart while you're opening and closing it, I take a picture of it and I put it in the report. And I tell my client, it's a good thing you got a home inspection. You wouldn't want that to happen, right? If you move into the house, it's a good thing you got a home inspection. I found that for you. Yep. That's how I address issues. You're hired to find things that are going to break. So this bathroom's okay. I like to open up the plumbing access panel for every tub and shower. Some cracked tiles. It's an old house. Not going to really pick on the cosmetics here. Cosmetic defects, I just pass over them. Looking for the major things. Major and minor defects. We have a roof leak. So there's the ceiling that's in the bedroom, second floor below the attic roof leak that we saw. Expected. Some cracks in the plaster, some settlement. I'm not going to pick on it too much. There should be new smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors. No grounding at any wall receptacle. That one's broken. The handrail should be secure. Shouldn't allow a child to fall through it. So this is an old handrail, very decorative, but a child can stick their head through and hurt themselves. So I'm going to put it in the report. Looking at the first floor ceiling, particularly below the second floor bathrooms. That's always been a trick of mine. And sometimes you find things like that. So on this load-bearing beam in the living room, there are watermarks in the middle of the house. So it's not a roof leak. It's the second floor bathroom. Must have leaked in the past. It's dry now. I put it in my report as a question for the seller to explain. I don't have to diagnose, right? There's no exhaustive diagnose. I don't have to figure out the source of this problem. All I want to do is find indications of, and I want to put that in a report. I write in past tense. I observed indications of during my inspection. Missing knob at the old stove. It turned on. It's not reliable. Run water. S-trap. Missing GFCIs. I'm done. That was a fun inspection. The report. We can get to the report if you want to hang out with me. Let's see. I'm looking. Donald asked a question. Do you go from the roof to the exterior and back to the roof? No. Only if I can't remember the last time I had to go back on a roof. It's such a pain in the butt to get up on there with the ladder and stuff because I try to take down my ladder immediately when I'm done. Nah, I rarely have to go back. That's usually on every system too. Once I'm done with the system, it's a rarity that I have to go back unless my client wants to see it again or something. Can you expand on the wavy exterior wall? Yeah, so it's a wooden house, wooden studs, maybe some kind of sheathing or something, and then there's probably some kind of fastened mesh, and I think that mesh, oh, and then they parged hard coat stucco on it, cement, right? And it could be 1 or 2 layers. I'll just call it a hard coat stucco. And I think that mesh has wrinkled and fallen off and come off the structure of the house. So if I push on it, I could probably crack the stucco. But I didn't want to do that because I didn't have to. It's already wavy and cracking. So it's either compressed or just there's something going on. Guess what? Not my problem to diagnose. It's just my job is to find defects that I both observe and deem to be really bad. We call it material defect. And that is what I observe. I observe indications of that. What causes it, I don't know. That's what I'm recommending. Someone get in here, you know. I'm only a home inspector, generalist, with opinions. And my opinion is that's a problem. And we need somebody to come in here and confirm that I'm right or dispute that I'm wrong. It's okay. So when calling out front steps, what is the recommendation to the homeowner? It's not something someone would run out and replace. Right. I could care less actually about the homeowner, sorry, or their agent, right? Or actually my client's agent. All I care about is my client, right? So I'm telling my client that if I'm inspecting these steps, if I'm doing more than 2 steps, I want a graspable handrail. And I put that in the report as a safety issue and a recommendation to get it fixed. Now, what happens after that? What happens after you find a defect and you put it in a report? Well, hopefully your client has an agent or a guide to help them negotiate what to do next. They either, usually in my opinion, in my experience, they negotiate the price of the house down and it never gets fixed, and that's a problem. Or they ask the seller to fix it and the seller fixes it as fast as possible and as cheap as possible, and that's not a good thing. Or nothing gets done, and it's the burden of my client to take that information in my report and my summary and get those things fixed at their cost, at their time, after they move in. So that's been my experience. It's one of those 3 things. My job is to find those things that I think should be fixed, and I don't really care how they're fixed or when or by who or money or negotiations. That's beyond me. My job is to hand over the report of information that my client paid for, which includes recommendations to get things fixed. Defects that I both observe and deem to be serious. Was that a brick wall originally? I don't know, Anthony. So I probably wouldn't. It's been my experience in this neighborhood. Front is masonry, and then they save money. The whole house isn't a castle made out of masonry units. It's wood with a stucco hard coat. Anthony, do you call out cast iron pipes even if no visible leaking for potential corrosion inside the piping? No. Some townships require cast iron pipes. Some townships require copper sewer lines. Incredible, expensive. Yep, it's not a defect. The material itself isn't a defect. Do you light pilot lights in order to inspect systems? Al, no. Heck no. I do not ignite anything. I don't even say the word ignite or flame. I do not carry matches. I do not turn on main water valves. I do not touch fuel valves. I don't touch water valves, just the fixtures, handles, you know. Yeah, I don't light anything. Yep. Nope. And you're not required to. So it's in the code, in the standards, it says by normal operating controls, which means a heating system. Turn on the thermostat. If it doesn't heat up, that's a problem. Put it in the report. You're not required to go further and diagnose why the pilot light didn't turn on. Why isn't it not, if it's an ignition system or a glow plug, why isn't it glowing? Don't turn anything on, especially fuel, right? Which test a heat pump on both heat and air settings. Yes and no. So if heat pumps are awesome because all it is really it's an air conditioner that goes backwards too. So there's a reversing valve, And at worst, that reversing valve doesn't work. So heat pumps, I'll turn it on in one mode, and then I'll let it run for a long time on air mode to bring it down to room temperature, and then I'll turn it on in the other mode, right? You can also turn on the backup heat manually. There's usually like a big toaster oven in a heat pump unit, and I'll try to turn that on as well. Sometimes I'll even pull off the front covers to look at the coil and the electrical components of the heat pump. Yeah, so a heat pump is kind of strange. Let's say you only do one, you only do heat, right? Heat cycle. The worst thing that could happen probably is, it's a common thing, the reversing valve. So it's really up to you. I kind of like to do both modes, all modes, but I don't need to heat up the entire house in the summertime or cool off the entire house, especially in the wintertime. There's no need to. And you can actually describe that in your report, in your section. This is exactly what I do, right? In Texas, remember Texas? I think you're required to run it so much that you have to measure the temperature differential, right, between the supply and the output, between the intake and outtake. Do you take apart the vent connector to get to that pick of the deteriorated flue? No. Usually there's a clean out cap at the bend, 90 bend, and I'll pull that off. Fuel burning, especially oil-fired heating systems, will have like a thimble, a T where there's a cap and you can take it off. You're not required to. If you have a bathroom window, do you need an exhaust fan as well? That's code. Good question. If there's an exhaust fan, I want that exhaust fan to exhaust outside. I'll answer it like that. You keep referring to GFCI protection. It would not be a defect for the age of the home and would be a recommendation. Right, John. So we're not code inspectors, right? So what I do is I inspect a home regardless of the age, right? I inspect the home without any regard to the age. I don't care when this house was built, because most agents have always used that to like beat down my recommendations. Like, why'd you say that? The house is 50 years old. There were no GFCIs back then. That is absolutely true. Do you know why code lists GFCI requirements? Because people have gotten hurt. Do you know why the fire code is updated continuously? Because firemen have gotten hurt. Do you know why the space between the spindles has decreased over the years? Because children have gotten hurt. So if I'm in an old home and the space between the spindles is large enough for a child's head to fall through, there's no way I'm keeping my mouth shut. I don't care how old that railing is. A child should not be hurt after I perform an inspection, right? I should call that out. That is a definite defect. Why is it? Because I want to make sure my client moves into a house that's as safe as possible, right? And if I can help in any way in doing that, that's great. And I'm going to comment on things that seem to be defects, major defects, safety hazards, electrical hazards, trip hazards, things like that. Yeah, without regard to the age of the home. Who cares how old the home is? Let's say it's a brand new home, and the space between the spindles is larger than 4 inches. It's a brand new home. Somehow the contractor made a mistake and made the space between the spindles 6 inches, right? It's a brand new home. I'm going to put that in a report as a defect. Let's say it's 50 years old. I'm going to put that in a report as a defect, right? Defects are ageless. It's kind of a fun thing to be a home inspector because homes that were built only a few years ago were built to code back then. Homes that were built to code are built to code, right? They're built to code back then, but are now considered defects. Because children have gotten hurt, people have gotten hurt, systems have upgraded. Back then, let's say in 2013, I think the R value for attic floor insulation in Maryland was probably R19 or R25, let's say. Now it's R30 something, right? So it's a defect in the thickness of the insulation. If it was built 100 years ago, there wouldn't be any insulation. So there's no way I'm going to say, hey, missing insulation. Not a problem, because, well, that's how the home was built back then. Knob and tube wiring is a great example. Knob and tube wiring, when knob and tube wiring was a new technology, that was great. But nowadays, even insurance companies know that it doesn't matter when the house was built. That's a defect. A lot of insurance companies won't even insure the house with knob and tube wiring. That's how bad it is, and that's how much they don't care when the house was built. If it's a defect, it's a defect. That's my opinion, and you can interpret that opinion any way you want. It's always been a really good. So I don't care it kind of frees me up. Brand new home, really old home, I don't care. I'm going to inspect it to the most modern building standards or practices or code, whatever you want to say. Terrence, adding a home energy score to the inspection add a lot of additional time? No. So at the end of this year, we should be able to announce something really big for all of our home energy score assessors that have worked under Internachi's program for home energy score. It should only take a few moments. There are software companies out there that have integrated with the DOE's, Department of Energy's home energy score program tool, so that there isn't double entry. Home Inspector Pro, homeinspectorpro.com, is one of those software companies where you're doing a home inspection and then at the click of a button, you produce a home energy score. Because turns out you need to gather about 40 pieces of data to do a home energy score that you've almost already collected during a home inspection. You've collected most of that information already. So with a click of a button using certain software like homeinspectorpro.com, you can produce a home energy score. And in my opinion, there's two ways to skin the cat. I hate that phrase. You could charge for that home energy score, or what I have done in the past is I don't charge for it. I just add value. I provide it for free and increase my fee. By whatever 15 minutes of time, it's maybe at least $25. I would love to make $100 an hour during an inspection. Stephen asks, what infrared camera do you recommend? Oh, that's easy. The FLIR C2. It is, I don't have one right here. This is an expensive one. A FLIR C2 with Internachi membership, I think it's $4.99 or $5.99 or something around there. It's a few $100s, and it has a really nice screen. Now, it's low efficiency or low resolution, right? So you're not going to see as much as a $4,000 camera. But I did a class on comparing a C2 with one of the most expensive infrared cameras. The difference to me is the price. The image, it looked kind of the same, in my opinion, to me. It wasn't really worth the extra $4,000. Remember, you really don't need an infrared camera to do a home inspection. So what are you doing? Why are you buying an infrared camera, right? And by the way, if you use an infrared camera, you better be trained. We have an online training program for infrared called Infrared Certified, and it's free and online to members. So don't use a camera, infrared camera, without being trained on how to interpret the images that you see. And so what do you want to do with an infrared? For me, I just wanted to make stacks of money by providing really great service, right? If you want, there's a phrase, my brother always uses it. If you want a good job, oh, sorry. If you want to make good money, get a good job, right? But if you want to make stacks of money and take on all the risks that entails, you become your own boss, become a home inspector. And one of the risks you could take is investing in a tool that allows you to provide incredible value that beats your competition. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, right? That's one of the risks you take. And it worked for me. I became the home inspector who used infrared on every inspection. My clients got to hold my FLIR camera, and it was really good. It was part of my brand. I beat my competition. You have to think. You should spy on your competition. Go to Inspector Seek, 2 E's, inspectorseek.com, and visit other people's websites and see what they're doing. Are they offering infrared? Are they offering moisture meters? Are they offering value-added things? And see how you are going to beat them in the market by adding value. I hope that answered your question. Priscilla, do you feel more comfortable doing an inspection with the client in the house or alone? I love vacant homes, but they tend to create phone calls afterwards because my client will call me the next day and want to go over the report, and that's more time. And I try to be efficient with my time. I try to make my denominator really small. So I did this inspection in 3 hours, 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock. I got there a little bit early, so it's a little bit more than that. And I'm on to my next inspection. And I did a home inspection here and a termite inspection. And that was $500 divided by 3 hours during the inspection, but travel time. So I have to divide it by that as well. So I'm trying to make about $100 an hour from I leave my front door of my home to when I come back to my front door in my home. I want to make about $100 an hour all day long. And if I don't have my client with me, that's another hour that I have to add, right? I love it when my clients are with me and their family members. Sometimes when the kids come on Saturday or Sunday, because I'll do a Sunday home inspection, or I used to, the kids come, and then from Internachi you can order these. These are fire safety activity books for kids to do while at the kitchen counter while you're doing the home inspection. So it's kind of fun. So I love it when a ton of people come with me, fathers, family members, and my clients and their agents. And yeah, I love talking and inspecting at the same time and writing an inspection report. By the way, here's the inspection report. Just to give you a quick look of it. There it is. So there's the inspection report, front page, table of contents, general information, what really matters. What really matters in a home inspection, I kind of help set the expectation of my clients that are reading the report, because I know this is actually going to get passed around to other family members, office, friends in the office. So it says, relax. Most of your inspection will be maintenance recommendations, life expectancies, and minor imperfections. These are nice to know about. However, the issues that really matter in my inspection will fall into 4 categories: major defects, things that may lead to major defects, things that may hinder your ability to finance, legally occupy, or insure the home, and safety hazards, like lack of GFCI protection, regardless of when the house was built. So I kind of put that in the beginning of the report. Big introduction. And then I have a ton of pictures in my inspection report, about 6 per page at max. This report is 37 pages long, and I try to throw in as many pictures as possible. If I were doing inspections nowadays with Spectora, I'd put video as well, and it's a cloud-based report, so it can run video, right? You can also get a PDF version of it. And everything that's wrong, I try to put in the inspection report as a picture. But sometimes, you know, like here's the basement pictures on the left side, just 3 pictures of the basement, just to get an idea of the basement. And I was there. And then on the right side, we have that water penetration through the basement window. And there's the roof leak, and there's the knob and tube wiring, and there's the dryer, and all that good stuff. So that was the report. And then at the end of the inspection report, I have a page just for the seller. I print it out if I can, and I leave it on the kitchen counter, or I'll leave something like this. So this is a marketing piece designed by our marketing team. You can order these. These are little lunch boxes like, and it says, you leave this behind for the seller, and it says, "Thank you for allowing us to inspect your home. Has your business card. We really appreciate you. Take a look inside." And they open it up, and guess what's inside? Whatever you want. I mean, that's really up to you. You can put candy in here. You can put a discount coupon in here. Put your business card in here. You can put whatever you want in here. I mean, this is really nice, creative piece of marketing that Internachi designs for our members, and you can customize it too. Put anything you want on it. This is a nice thing, just to put your business card there. We'll customize your business card for you. That's one of the creative things that we teach in our marketing class. Because every seller is moving, and turns out more than half of them don't move very far. It could be moving just to the next neighborhood. So every seller could be a future client. Every past client could be an ambassador for your company. They could be out there talking to other people, and they know of other networks of people that need a professional like you. So it's always good to keep in contact with your past clients as much as possible. Oh, one of the other things I did as well is a lot of reports are electronic, right? But I was nuts, and I brought a printer to the inspection. And if I had time and my client had time to wait for a printed report, I'd print it out. And I'd bind it in a binder, 3-ring binder. And here's my report, right, that you just saw. That's my report. I printed out black and white real quick. Here's the letter to the seller, that I can put in my lunchbox. Here's some rack cards. This is a rack card. And it's about other services that I can provide. So it says, while I'm here, let me inspect your home for mold. Why? Because if I can't figure out why, if I forget, if I'm nervous, I can just read it off the rack card. Because mold damages what it grows on. And the longer it grows, the more damage it can cause. And I'm an Internachi certified mold inspector, and I have a mold test kit in my vehicle. And why don't you just read this while I'm inspecting the rest of your home? And there's some information about mold. Oh, and if you're interested, in this area we have radon. Every home has radon, but you never know how much until you test it. And while I'm here, I could do a mold test. And by the way, you cannot see, smell, or taste radon, but it may be a problem in your home. So we help home inspectors with their ancillary inspections, because when you're at a home inspection, doing a $300 home inspection, $250 home inspection, boy, wouldn't it be great to do another $100, provide another service, like a radon test or a mold test, so that you can bring home at the end of the day $1,000 instead of only $500, right? Get that gross revenue up by getting trained and certified in ancillary inspections, so you can offer them to your clients who may or may not know what services are available. Your job is to, your client doesn't know what they want. They don't know what they don't know. Your job is to maybe provide that information, that opportunity to spend more money on you. Here's another thing. that I really like, I always promote. It's a field guide for inspecting wood-destroying insects. Let's say you're in a state that regulates wood-destroying organism inspections. That's fine. I'm a home inspector. I'm looking for things that damage wood. I don't care if it's mold, water, a bug. I'm not an entomologist, but I know what damage is. I know what mud tubes look like because I have my field guide. And if I find something like like this damage, I can tell my client, I think we're looking at this kind of damage in the floor joist. And this is actually caused by this fella here, a subterranean termite in the field guide. So this is additional information, like a checklist that I can go through if I'm wondering what I'm looking at. I can confirm what I'm looking at for myself and then communicate that to my client. And that provides added value, a perceived value that my client has paid for. And if your perceived value, if the perceived value of hiring you far exceeds the cost of hiring you, you've got a good business model. If it's kind of iffy, if the perceived value of hiring you is kind of the same as the amount of money it costs to hire you, you have a problem with your business model, right? You have to think about what value do you actually provide your client and then charge appropriately. Well, folks, that was a 2-hour class on how to perform a home inspection. I've recorded it, and it's going to be on Nachi TV, nachi.tv. You may be watching it right now on a YouTube video, but we're going to respect your time, and I'm going to end the class. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. That's my email address. I'm Ben at Internachi. That's the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors. Thanks for coming to class, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye.